Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studio and Business Reporters Fighting Fraud campaign, hosted by the Telegraph Online. I'm Alistair Greener. Now, the customer sits in the driving seat. This is the cliche we hear very often in retail, hospitality and the financial services industry. And it's true. Today, nothing's easier for customers than spending their money from their smartphone, their smartwatch, or, of course, by the touch of a card. So, what else could we ask for? Well, that's what we're discussing today with Owen Kilban from Kofax. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, we've got a number of things on the table which we'll come to shortly, but I'm thinking about today's shopping experience. I mean, it's pretty easy. Be honest, how much easier can it get?
Well, actually, it can get a lot easier than it is today because retailers, merchants need to actually start to understand that a customer experience primarily is based around the type of device somebody is using. And we live in an age where they want to get it right first time in order to fulfill the requirements of us as a consumer. But us as a consumer also wants to actually shorten the time taken to complete a transaction. I'll give you one example. Every single thing that you purchase online, there's 3 pieces of key data they need. They need to know who you are, they need to know your address, and they need to know how you're going to actually pay for the items. And what we see is that in most cases, retailers, they will build out very nice user experiences for maybe a browser interface. But what about when that browser interface is actually running on a mobile? What about when somebody has a mobile device? So it comes to the point whereby if you're sitting there buying presents for your family and you're using a tablet and you keep on having to type in the same information, you're going to get to the point whereby you're going to say enough is enough and you'll go elsewhere. So retailers, merchants are possibly losing the goodwill of that customer in completing that transaction. And today we want to sort of talk about a solution that can possibly help in that particular area.
Okay, well, let's come back to the challenges you talked there about the difference between being on our PC and then on our phone. So that's obviously a bit of a hassle for the consumer, and obviously that can lead to loss of business for the merchant. But are there other ways where that actually impedes the merchant's activities as well?
Yeah, very much so. If you just stop and just think about just the form factor of a mobile device or a tablet, smaller screen, smaller keyboard. So whilst somebody may sit with a PC and give you responses to 10 questions, that's not going to happen on a mobile. You know, the reality is that we as end users who are using these type of devices need to have customer experiences that are highly tuned to us as an individual on our device of choice.
Okay, so let's actually have a look about how we can make that whole process a lot more seamless. You said you've got a system that allows that.
Yeah, well, fundamentally, if you actually sort of look at the advances of technology over the past 3 years, particularly with the new releases of cameras, there's been one common denominator. And that denominator is one key improvement has been the camera, that they've actually improved and enhanced the functionality relating to the camera itself. And most citizens, we're more than capable and we fully understand the value of taking pictures using a camera. But few citizens actually understand that actually that camera can become an intelligent scanner. So when we actually capture something, be it information off a check, off a credit card, off a bill, off an ID, that information can be dynamically extracted and understood. And therefore, let's turn the other side of the coin and look from a merchant perspective. The merchants are failing to actually understand that if they leverage the camera on a smartphone or a tablet, they can reduce the time taken to complete a transaction, ensuring their information is correct from the outset.
Okay, that's great in principle, but what about practice? Now, we've got some things on the desk here. We've got a driving license, a bank card, a check, and looks some form of ID there. So give us a demo, show us how it actually works.
Sure, I'll be pleased to. So, you know, in most cases there, as part of a transaction, multiple pieces of content will be required. So stop and think about last time you purchased a mortgage, where you had to actually show not just your ID, salary information, an application form. And technology today is so advanced that actually it can actually understand whether or not things are highly structured on an ID, whether or not it's semi-structured, which might be a bill, whether or not it's actually handwritten on a check. So within this demonstration, very simple demonstration. So as you can see, I have what I term as an offensive form. So yes, I could sit here with my fingers and thumbs and manually type out the information. Alternatively, I can actually just press the camera button at the bottom of the screen. And from here I can actually say what I want to use. I want to use my ID, given clear instructions what to do. And now all I need to do is just take my camera and raise it above my ID. And without pressing any buttons, the system then has actually captured that information. By actually pressing the use button now, the system now straight away in real time, as you can see, has dynamically extracted all the information from that ID. So I, as a consumer, didn't have to spend the 4 or 5 minutes in manually typing that information.
It looks wonderful, it looks so much easier. The trouble is, when we start sharing our data with people, we get very concerned about security. You've now got a lot of detail, particularly of that driving license. How can you assure people that actually that's safe?
Again, a great question. It comes up time and time again, because fundamentally, any system needs to be secure from the outset. So as part of the application we developed, the software development kit we offer, security is paramount. So you may be familiar that when you were to use your regular camera with a smartphone and you take a photo, that goes to the camera roll. With our technology, that's not the case. So we do not write to the camera roll, number one. Number two, if you use a regular camera, the image size is going to be 5 to 6 megabytes in size. And if that image then has to be transferred to a server for it to extract some data, to come back again, that can be quite a lengthy process. So one of the things we've developed is a way of actually highly compressing the image before it gets moved to the server. So in response to your question, everything we do is encrypted, is secure, and we actually highly compress, which actually reduces the time taken for the round trip to go to the server, extract the data, and present it back to the user.
Well, it's certainly a lot easier for people to use, very user-friendly, but are there any other benefits?
Well, very much so. So it's all about ease of use in terms of from a consumer perspective. So the consumer isn't manually typing in information that exists within forms of ID, within credit cards, within bills, within checks. So from a consumer perspective, it reduces the time taken in a secure, controlled manner. On the retailer side, they know that the information that they're going to get into their environment is correct from the outset. There are significant challenges they have if the information is wrong. Just think about the last time you applied for a mortgage, where you had to send in hard copy documents to the mortgage company to only find out actually a document was missing, or the photocopy that you delivered was not of a high enough quality. So from the merchant's perspective, they know they've got quality data going into their environment, which actually allows them to make a quick decision and close the transaction.
So we've seen a fascinating development there in mobile technology. What about the future? Where's this all going? What are the trends we should be looking out for?
Well, very interesting question. So what we're starting to see within the market is that organizations now want to actually sort of look at how can they take this leading technology to fully understand what's being captured and tie that in with biometrics. So as we move forward, we'll start to see that actually as part of an application that somebody would develop, they'll be looking at other ways to authenticate the individual. So they'll be looking at possibly, taking a retina scan, which we start to see with some of our customers in the US, or possibly say looking at geo coordinates to ensure the transactions happen in the right location, or looking at selfie technology.
Well, a fascinating future awaits, and certainly I look forward to my life shopping being a lot easier. Owen Kilburn from Kofax, thank you very much indeed.
You're more than welcome.